It's the Morning Majlis.
It's the Morning Majlis. First half of 2023 saw above 13.4 billion dirhams worth of transactions, real estate transactions in the Emirates of Sharjah, and we've seen some positive figures emerging every month as well, leading up to the big 2024. Now, to talk to you about the real estate and investment climate here in the Emirates of Sharjah, we're very kindly joined by our guest this morning, Mr. Shane Breen, who is the head of Sharjah and Northern Emirates for Savills Middle East. A very good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you back on board with us. Let's throw you under the bus. I know a lot of people are looking forward to Acres Real Estate Exhibition. There's a drop in the registration fees. Is it the right time to now buy and get a bargain?
Straight in there. Yes, quite simply. I think there's never been a better time in Sharjah to sort of look at getting into the real estate market. I think if you look at the trends that we're seeing in the market when it comes to pricing, when it comes to rents, everything is firmly in a positive growth phase at the moment, and things are still really affordable. Couple that with discounted fees that they're going to be offering at Acres this year. I think there's a lot of savings to be made and a lot of opportunity for people to grab a hold of. And
why invest in Sharjah? What sets it apart?
I think there's a few things. The first, we can't get away from it, is affordability. It's extremely affordable when you look at other sort of neighbouring Emirates, up to 70% plus in terms of discounts you get for buying in comparable projects in Sharjah. Quality is almost like for like as well. So what you're getting is really good value for money. On top of that, you're getting everything that Sharjah has to offer, which for a lot of people is exactly what they need for themselves and for their families. So, there's a lot of opportunity there, and we're seeing a lot of people look at Sharjah as a real option to buy a home or an investment property.
And with Acres just around the corner, running from the 17th until the 20th of January, it's a great event for a lot of first-time buyers to have those questions cleared up because it's a big commitment, joining the real estate ladder. Could you go through some of the questions that they might want to ask in terms of they might be that first-time buyer, not know the market too well? What questions will they be approaching Acres with?
I think events like Acres are fantastic opportunities for buyers and consumers in the market to get in front of all the major developers that operate in Sharjah. It's not often that they're all in one room, and that's a great opportunity for buyers to go and shop around. One of the main things about when you're buying real estate is you need to make informed decisions, and by going to places like Acres and events like Acres, you can get in front of all the developers in a very time-efficient manner. You can ask questions about pricing, about delivery, payment plans, amenities that will be in these developments, and get a sense of what they have to offer, and then shop around, compare each developer within one afternoon or one morning, and then be able to go away and make a better decision about your purchase.
And in terms of people planning their finances, obviously, the main requirement these days is the 10% to 20% kind of a down payment, going through a lot of mortgage pre-approvals and all the nitty-gritty of things. So in your opinion, how should people be planning their finances when they want to make that decision to eventually take the plunge? Because they're also weighing the cost of not only the mortgage payments, but also their monthly rental payments that they have. So how do you think people should be balancing and thinking, okay, now is the right time to do so?
Well, first and foremost, they need to understand what's affordable to them. There are a number of mortgage advisors who can help calculate affordability, what they can afford to pay. You'll be looking at your monthly rentals or your quarterly rental payments at the moment, and you'll be able to see what loan installments you'll be having to pay on a monthly basis. But it's also not just loan payments you pay when you become a homeowner. You'll be responsible for service charge payments, as well as maintenance will be on you now and not on your landlord. So anybody who's buying needs to really understand the costs when they're going into it, and look at what they can afford. Don't overstretch yourself. Interest rates at where they are at the moment are at the highest we've seen for a number of years, and they may come down, which could make things more affordable for people at a later date. But for now, they just need to understand what they can afford and don't overstretch themselves.
And do you see those rates go down at some point? Because I know we've thrown this question to a lot of experts. No one has the right answer. It's only good old Jay Powell that has the power to do so. So where do you see the market going at the moment?
For now, I think we have to wait and see what happens in the US. There's a lot of talk about rates potentially softening, or a couple of adjustments this year. But yeah, no, my job's real estate. It's not there in terms of finance, so I'll leave that to those guys. But for now, I think the market's doing well with interest rates where they are. I think certainly if we saw a drop in interest rates for Sharjah in particular, where affordability is a major part of it, we'll see a big benefit to potential buyers.
And which neighborhoods in Sharjah would you say are the rising stars for the savvy investors at the moment?
So there's two areas that we see as being the most in demand. That would be Al Khan, developers such as Thuraya and Eagle Hills, extremely popular. And then you look further east to University City, and the plethora of developers who are operating down there, whether that's Arada, Aleph, or Zahia, and with MAF. But all those communities are extremely popular at the moment, and each by different demographics as well. We see a lot of CIS Russian buyers looking to Miriam Island.
Okay.
More of a coastal community, definitely something that they favor more. And then we see, whether it's historically has been Arab nationals going towards University City, but funny enough, with the change in the ownership laws now, we're seeing a shift towards more Indian and Pakistani buyers and general non-Arab expatriates starting to enter the market in those sort of communities.
I'd like to touch on that a little bit, being the impact of the decree which allows the freehold for all nationalities. How have you noticed or witnessed the impact on the entire real estate market here in Sharjah?
It's been significant. I think when we sort of look pre the announcement, the market was predominantly GCC and Arab nationals. There was a small, maybe if you're lucky, 1% of buyers were taking a sort of user-fruct leasehold option to buy. Since the announcement, from what I've heard from developers and our own brokers, is that that's shift completely. I was speaking to one developer who has a villa community, and they said about 70% of their buyers since the announcement are now Indian and Pakistani nationals, which is huge. And on the resale market, we're seeing a significant increase in demand and activity, which is important for the general growth and maturity of the Sharjah real estate market, to have that secondary market which is vibrant and liquid, that allows for capital appreciation and just general growth in the market. But we're seeing now demographic changes within places like University City, a lot more different nationalities coming into those areas, and obviously within Miriam Island, that's firmly the majority is sort of non-Arab expatriates looking there.
I'd like to touch on this aspect because you've also Shane Breen has also been a long-term UAE resident. You grew up in Sharjah, went to school in Sharjah as well. Can you talk to us about the shift you've seen in the real estate market here, and of course with Savills, you've been involved in the market for a number of years. How have you seen the real estate market shift and transform in the Emirate of Sharjah in particular?
I think most of the change has really happened in the past sort of seven years. I think it was sort of 2016 really that the major master plan developers came to market, and since then we've seen phenomenal change. I think mostly in terms of the offering that's available now. Historically it was a single owner with a residential tower or a villa compound in one of the traditional areas, and you would rent, and it was a completely rental market. Whereas now these developers are bringing international standard developments to Sharjah at a price point that's extremely affordable, and there's just the quality is just so much better than it used to be. People can get exactly what the type of developments they can get down the road in neighbouring Dubai, but in Sharjah, and that's a huge attraction to a lot of people. They want, there's a huge portion of the population that want to live here. They don't choose to live here only because they can't afford to live elsewhere. They choose to live here. So now they have these options, and we see Emirati families moving into some of these villa communities because they like the lifestyle that it offers, and that's important. And I think we'll continue to see that sort of evolution of Sharjah's real estate market as we go through the next couple of years.
Amazing.
And, we're both expats here, and we both actually had a similar upbringing here in Sharjah, going to the same primary school, being Sharjah English School. And that was a big factor for my family as a whole, was the educational side that Sharjah had to offer. Could you talk to us about some factors that you've noticed other than the freehold for all nationalities that might be why the real estate market is booming here in Sharjah?
Well, I mean, affordability, obviously, we touched on as well. The changes in ownership law, you can't underestimate how important that is. And then there's just, the schooling that exists within Sharjah is important to a lot of residents. Not only is it of an extremely high standard, but it's the fee levels are a much more affordable level too. And then the lifestyle. Sharjah has a different lifestyle to other Emirates, and that might be for some people, it might not be, but it does offer a lot of families what they're looking for. They want a slightly slower pace of life. They want a more traditional cultural environment to raise their families, and Sharjah is that. It doesn't have necessarily all the glitz and the glamour that some other Emirates have, but it doesn't have to. It is its own Emirate, and a lot of people value that and want to be here.
And we started this conversation with, is now the right time to invest in real estate? And you came out with yes. Now, do you have a word of advice for any listener out there who is hoping to attend Acres 2024, ask those questions that are needed to be asked, and potentially thinking, should I do it? Should I not? What is your word of advice to take that plunge, take that step into the real estate market?
I think they need to go down there and understand what it is they're getting involved in. It's a great opportunity to ask the questions, as you say, about payment plans, about the developments they're looking to, and then make decisions that will benefit their family ultimately. I mean, if you're looking at an investment decision, then it's a case of, okay, where are you buying in terms of location? What are the current rental levels in there? Now, developers will have their opinions. I think you should always go to the market and do your own research. Don't always believe what the salesman's trying to sell you. Go and look at what the rents are, what the potential yields will be. Look at the trends in the market, because we're seeing rents improving. I think the people who bought in these developments 2 years ago and are now getting handovers are going to see really good returns on what they bought, because rents have gone up 10-20% over the past sort of 12 to 18 months, and then some of these new developments we're seeing better standards of accommodation and new sort of premium rents benchmarks being set. So they're going to do very well out of this. And outside of the gated communities, we haven't seen an awful lot of development happening in with traditional build to rent sort of developers. So all the new stock is in these communities, and that's what tenants want to rent. So those are going to be extremely positive. So if you're an investor, look at those sort of metrics, look at what the fundamentals of returns will be. And then if you're a homeowner, well, it's not necessarily always an investment decision then. It's something that you want for you and your family. You're thinking more long term. And then it's really about the community and the offering that each of these sort of communities or developments may be able to offer you and your family, and the lifestyle that you'll have.
Okay, now there's going to be a lot of people who might be convinced, and some people who were those individuals who bought the property 2 years ago or a year ago and getting their handovers and have become homeowners. It's easy to get into the market, but to exit can be a different ball game. So for them, what options do you think, or does you as a real estate expert suggest when it comes to either looking for refinancing or even reselling the property and evaluating the cost of the profit rate that they tend to offer and they have to pay? Exit strategy as well if they were to be moving back home?
Yeah, look, historically, exiting we haven't seen much capital appreciation when it comes to when people exit. Generally, for the past few years, people have exited and they've gotten what they paid for it effectively.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's not been a great story in terms of capital appreciation, which is fair given the market was fairly restricted. Since they made the announcement of open freehold, that in itself is going to add a lot more liquidity to the secondary market and make it much more of a better growth story. We've already seen, particularly in sort of the end of last year, a lot more activity in the secondary market, and we're now seeing within certain communities, particularly places like Miriam Island and then University City, we're seeing some capital appreciation compared to what the original purchase price was. So we're starting to see that now, and I think that's only going to continue as we go forward. And people will have an exit story. And, you know, anything that's priced right at the moment will sell.
Okay.
You know, we're seeing a lot of activity, particularly, you know, whether it's apartments in University City or, you know, villas and townhouses in some of the sort of gated communities like Al Zahia. You know, there is a lot of activity now, and a lot of new non-Arab expats, you know, trying to buy ready properties, not just off-plan.
Brilliant.
And this Acres 2024 is a bit different because we're going international. I know we're really talking and focusing on Sharjah here, but we're going to be showcased projects from Oman. You got Georgia, Jordan, Egypt, and even Turkey as well. Do you think that will start to, or actually will affect the expectations of Acres 2024?
I think it's a really positive step. You know, expanding the exhibition to allow more you know, projects to be showcased, whether in the UAE or outside the UAE. I think it's important. I think historically, the past couple of years with Acres, it almost became a bit more of a B2B type sort of exhibition. There was a lot, you know, all the Sharjah developers would be there. There'd be a bit of a flurry of activity on the first day, and then it became more of a sort of business-to-business type arrangement. But now I think the talk that we're hearing is that, you know, people are excited to get down there. I think the announcement of reducing registration fees by 50% was a great way to really sort of get some excitement going in the build-up. And you know, we might see a lot of sales happening down there, and I'm assuming developers will come to the table with a number of project launches to take advantage of those discounts and try and rope in some buyers.
I've had to pay their 4% fees recently, so I'm very envious of those who'd just be able to bag a good bargain of just 2% off registration fees. Well, Shane Breen, thank you very much for joining us this morning on the programme and answering a lot of our questions and a lot of questions that most of our listeners have had who are looking at eventually putting their money down and investing here in the Emirates of Sharjah.
Thanks very much for having me.
Well, you can catch this discussion as a podcast and stay tuned to the Morning Majlis as we continue the conversations here on the programme.